What is up? It is shipping container build part 2. We are getting everything leveled out and prepping to cut these walls out. So let's get back into it. Right, I'm dripping sweat. I am done leveling as best as I can right now. So you can see I got them shimmed up pretty high. That was the gravel, obviously was not level. But we got them pretty much exact. They're sitting great top and bottom now, so that's awesome. And I'll walk you around this side. So what happened here on the last one, you know, the middle was a little bit high for the railroad ties. Well, this time I was really worried about it and ended up, now they're too low. The nice thing is I can lift these railroad ties up still and stuff gravel underneath and shim also. I really just need it touching the steel beam here and then the one on the other side. So it's not that difficult, honestly, to keep shimming that, especially when these stick out on this end. But they aren't too high, which was really good because otherwise we would have caused more problems than having to raise the other two containers. So then we came around this back side, and it's a little tight over here now because obviously, like, that's where I get the skid steer in. And it's not really wide anymore. Obviously we had more room with the gravel pad there when the other ones were in, but the end one wasn't. So that's where I'm squeaking it through right now. It works pretty well still. So we squeaked it in over here, ended up shimming this end up first. So what happened was I was trying to shim this side and I couldn't get my forks between the container and the railroad tie because there was no room. It just sits on there. And the pockets on the two ends of the container are too far apart for the skid steer forks. So, I mean, you would need like an actual container loader for that. And ours does not go that wide. So what I ended up doing was I came around this side, lifted the skid steer on this side, set this underneath, and then left the skid steer on there holding it. Then I ended up using our bottle jack setup. So this thing has actually come in handy a couple times now, to where all you need to do is this thing right here. I got it on Amazon. I will link it. It's super heavy, but it has this nub right here that, let me see if I can do this one-handed. You stick into there and then it rotates to lock in. So once you get it in and you rotate it, then you can put your bottle jack in here, which I set it on 2 pieces of lumber, obviously, so it was higher. But I put my bottle jack in here, cranked it up, and then lifted this side enough to get this 2x4 shim in here. And that made it sit pretty much level with that other one. So again, I held the other side up with the skid steer and used this. But if you don't have a skid steer, I would recommend renting one. If you're trying to do a project like this and you don't own a skid steer, like, it's worth your money to go rent one for sure. You'd probably need it for like a week if you're doing something this big where like you can get them delivered every single day. This has obviously taken me now. I got my first one delivered last Wednesday. And today is Wednesday, so it's been exactly a week. And that's just because they didn't have them all in stock. They only had the 2 already. So I got that one delivered Wednesday, this one delivered last Thursday, and then this one delivered today, which is Wednesday again. So overall, it took me a week. But honestly, like, if you got 2 of those things, which I think they're a couple $100, they're heavy steel. But if you got a couple of those things with some bottle jacks, you could theoretically do the leveling without a skid steer. The pushing over, there's no way in heck you're ever going to do that manually. Unless you have like a tractor or something like that. A tractor, a skid steer, something like that that has enough power to push. You could do that. But honestly, like, we used our John Deere tractor the first time with the forks on it and it couldn't even lift it. So, and it's not like a big tractor, but the skid steer lifted it fine. So if you're trying to do this and you don't own a skid steer, I would highly recommend renting one from any store in your area that rents them. But there we go. We got those leveled. So really excited about that. It wasn't near as hard as I thought it was going to be. They're sitting pretty much flush all the way up. I had to push it back a little. So when the guy was working, I don't know if I shared this on here or Instagram. I keep taking too many videos now. I don't know which one's which, but I ended up, he was in a big rush. This was a different delivery guy than the last one. And I think it was just his personality. He was like, which usually I can keep up with, but this was like kind of particular on how I needed it set. And so he had set it down a little too far to the back. Ended up hooking it to the truck and pulling it forward. Ended up pulling it too far, but just barely. It was still sitting on this railroad tie. And then, so once I got it leveled, I just pushed it back enough to where those are going to sit flush enough. So that's kind of where we're at for today. I'm going to double check that these doors open great. I'm going to probably get those other brackets in the corners for now. And then I'll do some shimming in some of these ones along the end. I'm going to probably have to cut those out Again, I don't know if I said that on here or Instagram. I don't even know now. But anyway, we're going to get those all ready to go. And then tomorrow is, so my mother-in-law watches all my kids, which is super slick. That is her full-time job while I do this full-time. And the downside is that they are going on a 2-week trip, which is fantastic. Don't get me wrong. She's taking my kids for 2 weeks. But when I work weekends for my candle company and I'm gone all weekend, she takes them on the weekend and then gets several days off during the week to make up for that weekend. So like she has a weekday weekend. And now we're coming up on that. So Thursday, Friday this week is her weekend. So I'm gonna have all the kids with me. We have 5. And soccer just started and we're going into hockey season. So hockey camp starts this Saturday. So basically I'm done working for the week. I can go run errands and stuff. So tomorrow what I'm going to do is go down to Duluth, which is like the closest area with stores. And that's like 45 minutes from us. So we're going to go take a day trip down there tomorrow with all the kids. And I'm going to go get those posts. So tomorrow I'll go get those steel columns. And I'm planning on putting them, it depends. So what I originally thought was I was going to put one in each container on the sides. But I'm thinking the plate that it comes with is wide enough that maybe I could hit both and only have to put one column between each container. So I'd only have to do 2 rows of columns instead of double column and double column, which would save a ton of money because they're like a couple $100 a piece. And I need, if I just do single columns, I would need 1, 2, 3, at least 4, maybe 6, just to be safe. Because again, I'm building on top of this. But if I do the double columns next to each other, I'm gonna need 8 to 12 and they're like $200 a piece. So that gets super expensive really fast. So I would love, I'm gonna buy 4 and see as I cut the walls out if that's gonna work. If not, I'll have 4 to do this area and then I can go back and get 4. But I would love to not spend an extra $800 if I don't have to, you know? So anyway, that's where we're at. Tomorrow we're gonna go run those errands, whatever we can get done with the kids. I can't run the skid steer when the kids are here. It just doesn't work. They're 11, 9, 9, almost 4 and almost 3 this month. So it's just not doable to use heavy machinery while they're all running around. But they're helpful sometimes. So tomorrow we're gonna go run those errands, get that done, and that's our day. Day 300 of the container build. Day 3 delivery. All right, I just wanted to double check this door. I think this one was hard to get open. And he had opened it before he left, so I know it wasn't his fault. I think it's where I dinked it right here. I was trying to get the forks in and they slipped up and it actually like punched through this like door plastic stuff and it obviously dinked this metal seal right here. So that sucks. But the nice thing is I'm not actually using these doors as doors. They're all gonna be locked shut and they're gonna be walls anyway. Here's the inside of this one. Similar to the other ones. This one smells funky. It smells like the ocean. So this one, I don't know, isn't as good smelling as the other ones. But, and you can see they must have welded a piece in where the paneling was rusted out or whatever. But overall, it looks like a good container. The floors are good. Again, the floors are like marine grade. Obviously, these are going over the ocean. Uh-oh. I see daylight. That sucks. It's a little pinhole, minor pinhole, so you can see there's a couple spots welded. But that is gonna have to get sealed significantly. So I will reach out to Kyle, because he's been super great, and see what he suggests I do for that. Because technically these are supposed to be wind and water tight. I see another patch on the ceiling here. That's the only downside, I guess, is that I need it to be watertight because I'm using this as a building. So I'll reach out to Kyle. Like I said, he is super awesome. See what he suggests I do for this, and we'll go from there. But this is what the inside of this third container looks like now that I jacked the door. This one has a lockbox on it. He had welded a lockbox on it, and I think that was just, I don't know why actually, but that one has a lockbox on it. The other ones don't. I don't need it though, because these are going to be permanently shut, and this will be a wall built, and my entrance will just be from that side over there. So again, the door will be cut in there, and then once all those walls are gone, I'll just walk right into the building. So that's kind of where we're at, but I want to show you the inside of this one. It's a little sea stinky, but that's okay. It is Menards Day. We got 4 of the 5 kids with, and we're getting those adjustable steel columns. That's what we're going to be using to hold up the walls. So we're adventuring today, getting all of the things, building materials. All right, guys, we are at the hardware store. We're at Menards. If you live up in the Midwest, you know what that is. I am trying to find 40 pre-cut studs, and this pile is absolute garbage. So when you're looking for lumber, you need to check over every single piece. If you are new to construction or anything like that, you can't just like walk in and buy whatever they have here, because most of them are total trash. Like when you start framing, you're not going to be framing with chewed up ends. Like the whole thing is cracked. There's literally cracked ones, twisted, bowed, warped. So out of this entire pile I have dug through, this is all garbage lumber. Like no one who actually builds houses is going to use that. So check all your lumber. We are at 31. I need 9 more good ones. We did it. So for anyone wondering why I came here in the first place, if I know it's garbage, it was the only one in the area that had enough steel columns. The other one that I normally go to only had 1, and the other one's in Wisconsin, so I was not gonna drive around with all my kids today. If I didn't have my kids, I would have ran to all the good places, but we just need to get it done. So I found enough, but if you're in my area, don't come to this one. All right, guys, it is Friday. I have all my kids again today, and we start hockey camp tomorrow. It's a Saturday through Friday camp, so 7 days, 8 a.m. to 4 p.m. in a town like 40 minutes from here. So basically, my week is kind of shot. I'm going Saturday, Sunday, Monday. I have someone driving them up Tuesday, Wednesday, Thursday. So I can work Tuesday, Wednesday, which is great, except for I have a show on Thursday. I have to be set up at 6 a.m. up in Ely at the Blueberry Festival, and I still have product to make. So that's probably going to be my Tuesday, Wednesday, is making product for the show Thursday. So like I said, my week is kind of shot for this, which is a bummer because it's only Friday today. But we just dropped off all the stuff we got yesterday, all of our 2x4s, and I got I think they're the 102 and 5/8 pre-cut studs, because this is the taller ceiling, and 8-foot ones would have been too short, but I didn't want to cut all that extra scrap off of 10-foots. So that's my reasoning on getting that. We'll see if it actually works, but that was my thought process anyway. Then we got 4 of those adjustable steel columns, and then I picked up some wire, because as I'm framing the floor, if I want floor outlets in, I'd rather run it as I'm framing it instead of having to fish the wire through later. So my plan, ideally this week, I would like to start cutting the corrugation to see how it goes, but it might be the week after just because of our kids' schedule now. Sports is all hockey and soccer for 5 of them. So, but my plan is to use the metal grinding wheel and cut this corrugation panel out. From what I've seen online, that's probably the most efficient way to do it, and it seems not very hard. It's just going to be cutting the different angles at the corrugation because it's different depths, obviously. So it's just going to be time consuming and super loud in this metal box. But the plan there is going to be to do that. Then I've got this subfloor here already, and when they come with their subfloor, it's like marine grade. I don't know if it's teak or bamboo, but it is like marine grade subfloor. But I am not going to waste my time lifting it all up and cutting it out. Anyway, so this subfloor here is marine grade, and I could theoretically unscrew it all, lift it up, and insulate underneath. I'll get a video of what the underside of this container looks like, because there is steel framing under there that I could insulate between and then just put the subfloor back. But from the videos that I've seen, it is super hard to get up, especially unused containers. And I don't know that's worth my time. So my plan is to just frame up with 2x4s, insulate between, and then put another subfloor on top of it, which is why I got this extra high ceiling, because I knew I was probably gonna be raising my floor and lowering my ceiling. You can see here that this lip on the door, please be quiet. This lip on the door is lower than the ceiling, so I think when I frame it out, that'll probably end up flush. So I'll have a good amount of room to work with there. But like I said, when I frame my floor in, I'd like to be able to run wires instead of fish it through. So that's why I have that on hand. So I'm gonna cut the corrugation, add those steel beams, the steel adjustable columns, and then once those adjustable columns are up, I'm gonna try to frame my flooring. Also, when I go cut this corrugation out, I'm not gonna be able to get it flush down. So another good reason of raising my floor is I don't need to try to cut super flush with that, because my floor is gonna be higher than that anyway, so no big deal there. But that's the plan. Start cutting those, put the columns in, frame the flooring, and then start framing these sidewalls so that I can get insulation and wiring run as soon as I can.